Can we start? Why? No, no, no. You have to turn it on. Thank you for joining us today. Test, 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 test. 1, 2, 3. Test, test. 1, 2, 3. Test, test. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Test, test. Okay. Yeah, let's start.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us today. We have also around 120 people that are logged into the channel, also to watch us going on the live conversation with Dariush. Thank you so much for joining us.
A round of applause. It's okay. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it, please.
Dariush, as most of you know, and joined us today just to listen to his insights, his vision about coaching in sales, in commercials, and talk about a little bit about life and the drive. So we're gonna go around 40 minutes, 45 minutes. It's not a Q&A session; it's just a conversation that we're gonna have together. But at the end of the session, we're gonna go for a Q&A part, maybe 10 to 15 minutes. So if you have any questions, please write them down, note them on a paper, and by the end of the session, you can address it to me or to Darius directly, and it's going to be recorded. So this link will be recorded, so you can review it also again if you need to. So Darius, can you give us just a little bit of insight about yourself?
So, um, not very smart guy,
Okay.
but often I was born in a poor family, and my father passed away when I was very young. So it was installed in me from a very young age that I had to provide. So from the age of 4, it was me who was going to be responsible for the family. And one thing about my mum was she was always about being safe, be careful. You never know what's going to happen because she was a widow at 23. And it was be careful. I just knew I didn't want to live a careful life. Honestly, I'm not intelligent. I was dyslexic, so I didn't do well at school. But I always want to provide. So working hard and having the drive to provide was my magic, I guess, because I was always the hardest worker in town. I was the salesman who was door knocking 200 kilometers away on a Friday afternoon. I had a young family. I'll get home at 3 a.m. It was just non-negotiable. If you want to provide, you work hard.
You must.
That's it.
At what
That's it.
age you started really working and
13. I
13?
was anything it took. I went to England. I was in England 30 years and 30 miserable years. And I was going back. And when I go back to England, I'll go back to areas where I used to remember I used to work in this bar or this
Nostalgia.
hotel. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, at age 13, I was cycling for 10 miles to get to. How dangerous was that? How could my mom let me? Yeah, she was all about being cautious. And I was in the rain. I remember once it was raining. I was coming back at 2 in the morning and a car hit me. And literally ran over my bike. I went over the bonnet, and I was such a nice guy. And she got up and said, "Are you okay? I didn't see you." I said, "Yeah, I'm fine." And she drove off, and my bike was bending up. So I walked 4 kilometers home. Never claimed anything. But it was just like amazing how times change because at the beginning it was just like Mr. Nice Guy who works hard,
Yeah.
And with sales, you become assertive.
Well,
And we're
when
going to
did
go
you,
through that.
at what age did you start feeling that you need to pass that message to other people that
Sure.
are really interested in what you have to offer?
That came into my. The thing is, I believe if you don't do it, you're not become a very good coach because you're just doing it off a book. So pretty much anybody can ask me any questions, I can answer it because there's nothing I haven't done or been through. And I think the audience react to it because they know you're not teaching from a textbook. You're
Mm.
teaching because you've been there, done it, got a
Yeah.
t-shirt. But since the age of 18, I've been sales. I've got fired from more jobs than I can remember. I left more jobs than I can remember. I just came through going through jobs and learning from different bosses and so forth.
Amazing. So, what do you think of your sales philosophy and how it changed your coaching approach? So, what is that really thing in your philosophy about approaching things from that angle and perspective? And how do you coach it to
I
the
think you
individuals
can't
themselves?
coach someone who's not motivated. You can't teach happiness because let's say I teach someone who's 30 years old, and for 30 years the family have told them they're no good, life is hard. There's no way anything I can do in those short few hours to make them look at life differently. So when I work with people, the first thing I look at is do they have the same values? Are they positive? Are they happy? Because life is not energy, right? Do they carry the right energy that people want to, work with? So I only work with people who have a positive energy, and it's enjoyable. If somebody's got a positive energy, you can teach them something. If they constantly think I know better, I don't want to play, you're just wasting your time.
But sometimes, they need to know. Sometimes it's within, but or sometimes they shy and they don't express themselves. Sometimes they think they are, but in reality, they're not really showing it. What are they like? Do you have any special techniques that you usually you do to motivate, to, to let them be engaged? Do you have specific techniques to engage
Honestly,
them around it,
yeah.
or
Honestly, I've been going on courses for 40 years of my life. I noticed I see the same faces going on different courses, and I'm like, they get motivated for about a week, and then life takes over and goes down again. So if I find that I'm spending a lot of my time motivating people, how do I feel? All I want to do is teach the skills. So if you're not going to be motivated consistently, try and get a job as a bank. As a salesperson, you got to be a chameleon. So you got to be hungry. You got to make sure. It takes such a long time to sit in front of this prospect. I've got to make sure I've got my act together to make sure that I don't screw up. I've got to be happy. I've got to put up a front, act as if. Don't come across as desperate, come across as confident. So my movement's called Gladiators. I've got like 10 million followers on social media. And the Gladiators, the way I see it is that if, as human beings, 2,500 years ago, you were born poor as a slave, you were a gladiator. And if somebody said to you, just go and see a prospect in the arena, just see how it goes,
you
right?
die?
You'll
No.
die. But now, 2,000 years later, we just go how it goes, and we just kill the prospect, deal, and we're expected to dust ourselves down and pick ourselves up again. So, which death do you want to have? I'd rather have a quick one, give it my best shot, or a slow one, become 80, look back in my life flashes, and think, oh, I didn't really wasn't good enough. I listened to other people's opinions. I don't want that. So the sales role is the only role in the world that you can earn more money than the founder of the company. So you gotta have hunger. You gotta have a good relationship with money. A lot of people are born get into sales and they sabotage. So the money comes and they sabotage. I spoke to your team, said we have to have a clear plan. What are you gonna do with the money when it comes? because that's going to be a driving force. I
They
find
come to me for consultation.
indeed, yeah, I noticed because I'm investing. So what I find is, for instance, single moms make great employees because if you give me $1 and say look after it, I'll probably look after more your dollar than if I did on my. So with the single mom, they have somebody else to feed. So they're very driven. They don't have time to negotiate motivation, right? Because they have to wear the pants in the house, the skirts in the house, they're a mother, they're a business owner. They are driven. They don't need me to motivate
Yeah.
them, but they just have a hunger to learn.
You know, there is a perception that most of the I see it every time. I was a trainer in the past. I took courses for my previous company in sales, and everybody said he's a great person. He talks well.
Mm.
I think they understood the whole concept of what is your point about a good salesperson should be a good presenter or a good listener.
When the 80s, there was no internet. So I remember life before the internet. And those days, you
We
should have
do.
a picture of the owner going like this, and people would believe it. Now, the prospect knows your product than you do. So before, if you were a good talker, they say you'd be a great salesperson. If somebody said to me, "You're a great talker, you'd be great," it's an insult.
Yeah,
To me, it's an insult. I've got to be a massive listener. I rarely talk.
and good at asking questions.
Amazing. Yeah. Open-ended questions. You have to have a genuine childlike interest in the person you, because they have to feel they trust you, they like you, and you're going to take care of them. If they don't feel that, they're not going to buy, and they're going to come out with loads of smoke screen and excuses. But if they like you, they walk away thinking, you know what, Dariush actually really cares about me. I trust him. Maybe he hasn't got the product that I need, but let me justify a reason why I should do business with
Mhm.
him. If they like you, they start justifying why they should do business with you. Too many salespeople sell the product, not the relationship.
Yeah, but from these questions to be like before going on a coaching session, let's say to a group of people or to a specific individual, definitely you have your approach. I think. How do you really tailor make the approach before the coaching session? And do you have multiple coaching strategies and techniques that you follow depending on the reaction of the individual or the group? And if it's a group, it's a multi-phase question. If it's a group, how do you identify which technique you're gonna follow, or you switch in the middle just to reach that part of the group and
Amazing,
that part of the group
amazing.
and that.
In my universe, there's speakers and there's coaches, and I've won contracts dealing with massive organizations who have systems. And like, give you an example, I coached the salespeople at Renault, and I was sitting, I just come to Dubai, nobody knew me, and I had just a little Filofax with me. And I turned around and my competition was five of them flown from England. They had a laptops presentation already. And I won the contract for Renault and I increased the sales by 25%. You know, because I said every single one of those salespeople has a different motivation selling skills. I'm not going to come and tell you this is how it's done in the boardroom. I'll train you on the shop floor with you selling cars. And all the salespeople said, I want to work with him rather than somebody in a classroom teaches everybody the same way. So when I'm speaking, people say, "What's your keynote?" I'm thinking the difference is that if you speak from the heart, you're heart led, okay, which is what people want now. They engage with you more rather than it's Robin Sharma. I like him very much, the monk who sold this Ferrari. I watched him speak 7 years ago, and I watched him speak a few months ago. It was exactly the same pitch, exactly the same keynote. I was like, okay, but what else do you have, right? And with me, I just go and weigh the audience, and I have enough experience to do what our keynote based on what the audience wants. I never go preconceived idea.
Don't they see it that came non-prepared?
Yes, they do. I don't care. Yeah, they see it, but you stop caring about what others think because I know what matters is in the audience if they connect. I'll give you an example. Have you heard of the Gladiator Summit? I had the Gladiator Summit in November. 3,500 people showed up, and
Three and a half
3,500
for
people
one day in one room.
one weekend,
Wow.
2 days. Yes, 3,500, 3,500. And I didn't sell a product. I didn't sell nothing, and people didn't understand that you put all these expenses. You have 26 speakers. But here's the thing: I had a sponsor, a company called AIX, and the second day, because I'm giving, and they're not thinking like other companies that put me in a vulnerable position and sell me a course. And they're like, "You're not selling me a course." No, because I'm giving love, right? And at the end, I said, "Listen, this company AIX has changed my life. 1,500 people signed. They
Wow.
all got up and signed, not because I was selling. They knew that I really right,
Mm.
and then they made the decision to go. So yeah, does that make sense? So if you give unconditionally, people now will decide to do business. If you go with preconceived idea, it's like you're shooting and hopefully one hits the target. I don't care about the organizer. What I do care about is the people in the audience.
What,
So when I did training with yourself, I had no idea how it was going to go, and it was really awkward. But through the three experiences that we had, I like to think I've got some really good relationships with your salespeople because they really now, I think most of them know that I care.
mm.
I genuinely care for them, and that's what
But when you train a group or an individual, not training. Okay, let's first identify before we move into that question, the thing. What is the difference in your mind, in your opinion, between coaching a person and giving a training to a person?
I think coaching and training. I like to think I share and then show them. A lot of people who have challenges in life, they go home and they think their problem is only and by sharing, suddenly they realize that this guy who came to Dubai with $700 in his pocket, three kids, no money, no reputation, lives in a maid's room for 6 months, had two coffees and a sugar donut as a diet, just had a heart attack. I had every reason not to make it. If this guy can do it, what's my excuse? So I share, and I hope that my story inspires people. And then they go, well, okay, now I'm not the only one. So just maybe I should listen to a couple of these tricks that he used to accelerate his growth. So, and also, like, I used to teach squash, and I don't know if I was a coach or a teacher, I'm not sure. But guess what happened? Every single time I had a new student, every single time. What do you think happened? They all tried to beat me. First game, they tried to beat you. Because what they're doing is thinking, like, I want to see how good it really is before I trust them as a teacher. So every single time I had to beat them 9 love, 9 love, 9 love to earn their respect. And then they started listening to me. So I don't know if that's coaching or training, but I had to earn their respect. And then when you earn their respect, they listen to you. And life is all about, I think it's 85% motivation, 10% habits, and 5% skills. I'm a skill teacher, and I hope as commission only salespeople or low salary salespeople, they're already motivated. It's not my job to motivate, but it's my job to teach them something that's made me very successful and wealthy that worked for me. And I had every reason not to make it. So, what's your
I see in the
hope,
current
hope that
time.
answers your question.
Yeah, actually, when I look at things that are happening currently in a city like Dubai, we see that there is a lot of new arrivals, new faces. It's like the American dream now. It's the Dubai dream where they're gonna make it. And then you see a lot of them that, especially in our field, real estate, past 3, 4 years, it was amazing golden years that never happened in any historical market before. I've been here since 2005, and I've seen all the ups and downs of the city. But what happened after COVID is phenomenal. And you see that I know a lot of the team members, colleagues, business partners in the field where how they were before these 3 years and how they were through these 3 years and how they are currently. And it's very important maybe to you said something like this. What do you do after you earn this money? Because a lot of them don't have that white dime for black day. Looking at the level how things are happening, what would be your advice from a split of financials? Let's put it this way. How do you tell
Seven
them
different
how
buckets
do you
of
use your
sure. I think first thing is how you see the world, right? So pessimists look at Dubai and go, This bubble's going to burst." Optimists look at it and go, "The whole world's coming here. There's a lot of money to be made." The way I see it is that I was going to retire, but I'm seeing the whole world coming here. I think maybe I've got another couple of years left to make more money out of this because the world is coming here. So try to surround yourself with optimists. Try to surround yourself with people who see abundance because there's money to go for everyone. There's a reason why Elon Musk was 350 billion and other people have got nothing because he fixes bigger problems. He looks forward to challenges. So, and he works hard, right? So, and of course, he has a gift and it's bigger. Over.
So after you do like a coaching session or training, whatever you want to, the result, is it successful? Is it beneficial? Have a specific setup that
Sure.
you look at, or
Bottom line, there's no reason. I sold $36 million of shit in 3 months. And I had no money when I came here 15 years ago. And I heard that people don't pay on time in Dubai. So I thought, well, I can't afford that because I need to pay rent, school fees, and my car rental. So I went to everyone and said, I'll take money up front. 15 years later, people still pay me money up front. That was my rule. So when this client is called Grandwell Shipping, they came to me and they said, "How much do you charge?" For 42,000 dirhams a month. At the time, I was cheap. Now I charge $10,000 an hour.
you
So
were cheap?
I was cheap then. But I'll go through that as well. The guy wrote me three checks because he came as a referral from his son,
Mm.
and because I trust my son, so he's three checks. But the biggest waste of my money when he gave me the check, the biggest waste of my money. And I said, no, I don't want you to check if you feel that way. What makes you say that? He goes, well, three things. Have you ever sold a ship? Never. So I don't know one end of the ship from another. There's two, they start at $6 million. What, nobody's going to make a quick decision. 3 months, what can you do? And three, the decision making process takes a long time. So you're not going to be able to do this. Within 3 months, I sold $36 million worth of ships.
Mm.
I took all the experts with me. All I did was went look at the pipeline and see who they were talking to 6 months before, 5 months before, who they met on exhibitions. And I just built relationships and I took the engineers with me, I took the draftsmen with me, and they helped me close the deal. I said, I'm the salesman. Don't expect me to be an industry expert.
Mm.
I'm in here to build relationships. All I know the company's great. And if you want to support, this guy will look after you, that guy will, and they bought. So yeah.
And then the journey started.
And then he recommended me to the conglomerate, and I got many, many businesses. Now I still go back now. I deal with SMEs. I don't deal with large corporates because large corporates, you got politics and many levels, and people are motivated in different ways. Like a middle management is motivated by keeping the job safe. The owner cares about profit. So the result is always measuring profits.
What is the support that you, when you're dealing with an SME or a group of individuals? Let's not talk about who you are sitting with one on one. That's not really. We're talking more about what is that extra thing that you offer after. So
Yes.
what is the after product? It's the after sale. Let's put it this way,
Sure.
because you pitched for them, they chose you. Great. So
Fast,
then
fast
after that,
results.
what is the support that you give to that team after the session is done and paid, and is finished, so you can continue your life. You're not committed, but do you still keep that connection with the
Not
team?
anymore.
Do you, you
Not
know?
anymore. But when I started, I was a yeah, and I would do minimum six training sessions because everything in life is habitual. So the way I pick up the phone and say, "Hello, how are you?" That "How are you" is the wrong thing to say on the call. conversation go either way. So you pick up the phone and say, "Hope you're having a great day." It's habitual, like the ones who wearing trousers put the same leg in your pants first without even thinking. This is habitual. Try to put the leg in the other leg, you fall because the brain is stuck in it. So you need minimum 6 training sessions, and then I leave because I get bored. I get bored easily. So I don't have a support system. I don't. Is mine smaller?
What's the
uh,
difference?
um, so maybe it's the echoing.
Yeah.
So I know the animal I'm in. So I go in and say, look, I'll serve you for 3 months, and I'm out. A company just hired me as an acting CEO, and I told them on the storm, I'm going to come in. I'm going to probably fire your CEOs, fire your COO, fire your marketing. Are you ready for it? Because what happens is often when you're going to turn a company around, the right-hand person who hasn't been serving the company well, if they really care, they're going to come in. But if they don't care, they start to go behind you and say, "Is this, is that?" And so I always prepare them for what's coming. I said, "I told you they fear the change and they try to sabotage it."
Mm.
So as long as the desire from the CEO decision maker is enough to work better, it works really well. But it's like imagine you meet someone and his wife doesn't like you. Every time he goes to bed, she's like, "Don't see the guy again. He's rubbish. He's bad influence." After a while, the husband goes, "I don't need this guy. I need to sleep soundly next to my wife." So he makes a
Wrong
decision.
choice.
Well, keep the phone and get rid of the one. So, so you have to prepare the client with what's about to come.
Mm.
Because what you don't want is surprises, and that comes through experience. And when change comes in, headache happens. Okay, so you have to prepare them for a sunshine to come. You've got to go through school.
They need to, like, definitely, in the jag of the commercial aspect and the sales approach, change is a major thing, and this is the deal breaker, especially when you are dealing with a group of individuals from different backgrounds, different interests. They approach things from different angles and perspectives, and you want to apply a change. There's a change curve, which is first denial aspect. No, what is he doing? Everything is working well. Why do you want to make a change? Are we moving forward? Then you can reach a specific part, that one-on-one or approach for them to start believing, and then when they start applying, the change will happen. And usually this doesn't happen in a 6 session training, like you were saying. So how do you really look at the impact and make sure that change happen? Do you really reconcile with the business owner? Do you reach out saying, okay, what is the result? Are you happy? Or you just, for now, you
Honestly,
just
is
leave it
that
and
the
go?
salespeople become my friends and they keep in touch and share success. Because changing individuals' lives is what I'm about. At the same time, I can honestly tell you, I never go anywhere in Dubai where I have to hide. I meet the old clients and they come and say, "You changed my life." So I speak to them, they share revenue with me. It's incredible how many people don't have a good relationship with money. So when I talk money, they get up and leave, or I talk to them and they go, "Well, I'm happy with 50,000 when they could earn 500,000." So what I realize, a lot of people I have built relationships with, business relationships, are now changing talking about money because money is energy, right? And they really truly believe in their abilities. And you can get greedy. You can get really greedy, but greedy is good. You don't have to go and forget about your values. You value, you know, have values, know your boundaries,
So you're
work out
against the concept that says money is not everything.
money choices, right? The more choices you have, the more freedom you feel. And the more freedom you feel, you're happier. I hate to think that I'm happy, 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 and I can only fly coach, right? And I'm only allowed 4 weeks a year of holiday, 4 weeks a year of holidays. I'm confined to other people's rules. I mean, the more choices I have, the more free I feel.
Yeah, but we all know that in any part of the world, maybe 96% of the world population works with 30 days off a year, not even 21 working
Americans
days,
less, yeah.
everywhere in the world. And all that traveling is like, when we say money, it depends on, it's relative. So like if I say I'm a millionaire, so it means that I have a million dirham. So what does a million dirham do? You can even buy 3 times business class to anywhere you want per annum plus hotels. Then you're spending a million dirham.
Being a millionaire I was born, you needed $1 million. Now you need
Yeah.
to have the same
Oh,
standard
yeah,
of
and I
living.
remember for me
Yeah.
when I was like at the age of 6, 7, or 14, let's put it this way, I was always thinking, "Oh my god, if I had $1,000,000." Today, when I look at the $1,000,000, it doesn't buy a two-bedroom anywhere, by the way. Even if you're buying in Germany, you pay $1,000,000 for an apartment, so it's not anymore a norm. But also, when we look at how much people are making as income, we see that even if you're making $1,000,000 a month, their spending is also on a very high
Mike
scale.
Tyson spent $350 million
This
and he
is
went bankrupt.
mm,
We're not educated. We're not educated. We are educated to work, pay taxes, and die. And the Rockefellers of this world get richer and richer because we conditioned that them. We still need bus drivers, we still need taxi drivers, we still need cleaners, right? Because that's the way the world goes round. But the reason you are in Dubai is to actually prosper. You
yeah,
chose to come here to prosper. You didn't come here to find love. You didn't come here to find spirituality. You came here to do well financially, go back home and invest or make a career of yourself. So it's a lot. I've done very well in Dubai because it's a lot easier to talk money.
yeah,
If I go to, I don't know, on the hills of Goa, with lots of people doing tantric dancing, and I'm talking about, make money, I think they're going to look at me like this guy's on something,
it's
right?
the
So
same feeling when you go back home to see your cousins, no?
we're discussing, it's
You
like
don't
same
talk
thing.
about anything
They
else.
talk about TV programs, Love Island.
And you're like,
Yeah.
yeah, it
So it's the
happens.
choices we make, right? And also, being a salesperson, your happiness depends on the amount of risk you comfortably take. So if you're in a commission-only salesman where you have confidence, your brother or sister may think you're crazy, but then you could earn more money than them if you do the right things all of the time.
Correct.
So it's to do your happiness is the amount of risk you're comfortable taking.
One last question before we go to the Q&A. I have, what do you think of ethical sales? Because today we see that a lot of the business partner or um, any specific, they are trying to sell anything to anyone, meaning I just need to find a buyer. It's a good product, good return. It's not expensive. It's the right price, the right payment plan. No, all of that goes to the garbage bin. All they care about is closing the deal, and once they get their commission paid, they dump it. Then the end user or the investor comes back to whoever they invested with on anything in a car or an apartment or a business. Like, I was not promised this. What would you, and then you be the person as a business owner or partner to tell him the truth. So when you are doing these coaching sessions, and do you really, honestly, do you put a little bit of pressure on the fact that don't sell bullshit, sell reality, sell real value, uh, sell ethics?
I think, first of all, I don't work with anybody who's got low ethics. I check people's values, I look at the product. I don't help people make. I've been offered huge amounts of money to teach some crypto companies, and I felt they don't have values. Yeah, so I walked away from. Could have been a billionaire, and
Mm,
I walked away from it because I couldn't sleep at night knowing I've screwed people to become rich. If you ask enough questions and you really care and your product is great, you can sleep at night. Now that comes to really finding out what the other person needs. So there's two mistakes you can make: not ask enough questions and offer a product they don't need. So that's a genuine mistake. But you shouldn't be mistaken because you got coaches like me and you teaching people how to do the right question.
yeah.
The other one is that I just went through it yesterday and I was sharing with the team. And I went to get a annual rental agreement because I don't buy the house I live in. I invest and I rent where I do. So I can choice of moving. And I got this house on the Palm, and it was a 1 year contract. It was 1.2 million dirhams a year, and negotiated from 1.3 to 1.2. And the guy on the passing, the salesman said, "How long do you want to be here?" I said, "No, I don't know, 2.5, 3 years." But that's perfect for them because they want to come back after three. I said, "Great." This yesterday morning, he sent me a rental agreement for 3 million dirham value. Okay, I said, "I'm buying this. I'm renting for 1.2. Why 3 million?" Because you said 2.5 years. So you owe me 150,000 dirhams based on a 3 million dirham rental agreement.
The
You see,
broker.
they broke.
Oh, wow.
Now, how many people I meet every day share the name of the broker company with yours too, right? So I'm never going to do business with them unless to them it's unethical. Okay, because we just having a chat, and I said 2.5 years. We just took a 2.5 year agreement on
And he's
paper.
signing a contract for it.
He wanted
He's
me
oh
to.
wow.
Right. And he said, "Well, I'm looking at you. They can increase the rent by 5%. I've got a queue of people waiting." Now he's waiting for my call, and I hope he's listening to this because I'm going to call and say, no matter how much I want that house. And he was like, if you don't get it right now, there's a queue of people waiting. I'm never going to go with that company. I'm never going to go with the sale
Yeah.
because he's lost me. And I'm going around meeting people, telling them about this company.
Can you imagine the amount of people who come to Dubai and they're not really exposed to the rules and
Sign.
regulations, and they fall in mega traps of
I
of
was, I was in as a buyer. So I was soft. Oh, I love this house. It's in this pool overlooking the sea and my view. So he thought, ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. But he didn't think long term. Now, as you know, I'm an investor. I can buy every month. I'm never going to do business with him ever. How much they lose and how much I go around mentioning their name as people come here,
so you would advise to be really straightforward and
honest.
ethically
Yeah.
honest,
Yes.
genuine.
Here's the problem also, because I used to be a talker. Now I'm on my soapbox. I talk a lot, but generally in life I don't talk much. And when I get enthusiastic, I can talk too much and kill a deal. So I sat down monitoring salespeople speak, like especially in the finance industry. And this particular girl, she's extremely knowledgeable about finance. And I was a client of mine, and as she's talking, I can see the client going like this.
Just dying.
And she's unaware because she's so educated. She's overdoing it. And then at the end, she's trying to close. And she goes, "You might be thinking, what happens if we go bust?" The thought hadn't even come across the guy's mind, but she put it in his head. Right?
Yeah.
And he said, "You know what? Sorry, and I'm gonna invest $1 million." Dariush brought me here.
Mm.
And she was like, "What do you do?" I said, "How long do you know this guy?" I said, 15-minute coffee. In 15 minutes coffee, he put 1 million dirhams down payment based on me saying do so. So the trust factor was so much. She was killing the deal with over information, yes, and her own fears of what if it was. I was like, why are you sharing your dirty laundry in public? So you
Mm.
can overkill a deal.
Mm.
So
So she lost it.
no, he signed. And then I said, so his name. I said, should we get the contract? Because please, because he was going through pain listening to her for an hour.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And then she goes, honestly, she goes, well, send me I need your Emirates ID, your passport. So here's my number, WhatsApp it to me. No. Have you got it with you? Yeah, I've got copies. So I said, get it now. We get the agreement and sign the guy on the spot. But she did everything she could to delay the process.
Mm.
And I couldn't understand why, because she was trained by me 2 years ago. Somewhere along the way, she drives a Ferrari. So somewhere along the way, she got comfort.
Yeah.
Right? And when comfort comes in, you start derailing from
What do you
sticking to
think
the
about that? Honestly, what is your idea about um, living that large, dressing up like and they come out as some people walk in. Listen, the product that we sell here is a multi. It's around 4.7 billion worth of inventory in one building, right? And the people who are really investing with us, they're really wealthy individuals who can afford to park $2-3 million for 2-3 years. And definitely, this is money on the side. They don't really need it. They're not really stressed. Most of them, they are able to continue even to finalize the deal and pay the 5 mil, 6 mil, 7 million. One of the apartments is 130 million dirham, which is, I don't know, $35 million. And we sold three of these. So, and you look at the buyer who is walking straight, wearing just regular stuff, coming in an Uber, and you see the salesperson dressed with 2-3 million sometimes worth of clothes and jewelry and driving a car for 4 million. Honestly, and this is only in Dubai. I've never seen this anywhere else in the world. And
my car. I'd never drive my car to see the prospect
mm,
because the prospect thinks you're making too much money, and the reason you're making money is profiting from me. So
correct,
unlike
no?
there was a bank in Japan called the Tomato Bank. It was called Tomato Bank. It was a fun bank they opened up, and everybody wore casual clothing. The business went bankrupt after like 10 years. And the reason is they did a test, and it's just psychologically, people don't want to part with somebody who's casually dressed. Although they know the teller is not investing their money, the teller is just taking their money. Subconsciously, they weren't happy parting with their money. So to be professionally dressed is really good because you're not given the option to like or dislike. But then I'll give you an example. I had a fur, I had a fur, and I brought it round. I don't mind sharing names, it's the truth. I can't remember his name. But it was a dentist, American dentist, and I couldn't go home to pick up my son. So I thought, yeah, I'm just going to park it down the side, the Ferrari, but I'm not going to let him see it. As I parked it, he was looking out the window. So I came in and he goes, "I've got two of them." And the conversation went with, and he was trying to talk about cars, how much he's got money, and I never got the deal because I had this clashing.
Mm.
So by him, although I tried to park at the side, coincidentally saw it, by just being neutral, you're not given the opportunities for the prospect to judge. But then as a salesperson, you should never judge anyway, because if you didn't know Bill Gates, if you didn't know Warren Buffett, if you didn't know Mark Zuckerberg, you'll never know they were billionaires. And true billionaires don't dress to don't they narcissists. They don't
Mm. But
that's why
on
I'm not a billionaire.
do you believe in the concept of being humble?
Because if you nearly died or lost everything, I think people are motivated in two ways. One is to gain wealth, gain prosperity. The other one is that they had so much pain, they don't want to go back. So the person who really makes it has the balance of both. Because I remember how painful it was not to eat and not look at my children's eyes for 6 months. They couldn't go to school. How embarrassing that was. At the same time, I love to fly first class. I love to have an island
For
in
sure,
Maldives
it's
and
time to
stuff.
pamper yourself if you achieve
But
this
then,
success.
but then, it's like gyms. So 95% of people join gyms in January. Yes, because they just binge, big Christmas, and they have this vision of this
New Year
six pack,
resolution.
six pack in summer. 75% go after April, and they pay every single month.
Yeah.
Why? Because the goals aren't as bigger as running away from the pain. So the goals doesn't drive them enough to put the bag of chips down the remote control, pick the bag, and go to the gym. That's a bigger driving force to sit at home and just look at Netflix. So what I say to my salespeople, write down all the things you're running away from if you remember it, like, and then let you go you as well. So you're running away from pain and being going towards your goals. And you got double the power to close deals, work harder, don't work 9 to 6.
Celebrate when you achieve
All the time wins. And
and be wise.
life's hard. Life's tough. And imagine you're going to get seasons. Just make sure your winters are shorter than your summers.
Exactly.
Just celebrate the experience. Somebody asked me earlier what mistakes you made. I said, there's none. There's all lessons. What I learned um, when I came here, when I had nothing, nobody was telling me about that. All my friends left me. I used to come out and think, okay, my son, imaginary, not have a son, but if he was in the meeting, when I left, would you say, Dad, I'm proud of you? Or would he go, oh, Dad, I'm ashamed of what you did there? So I led my son, although he wasn't in the room to judge me, the manner was that. So we all have people who we can be accountable to, but we don't have to have them with
That's right. So, we are now coming to the conclusion, and we thank you for your time and your insights, your life experience, because this is a great learning curve. I strongly believe it's very important for anyone to learn from things that are happening in front of them, and learning on the job is way much better than any other. But the most important thing is to hear, listen, hear, listen, and then apply, and then rectify if needed or enhance. And thank you for giving us the opportunity today to host you. We're gonna end the conversation and open the Q&A session in case any of you has any questions to any of us around any subject you want to talk about. So we have the coach available for a few minutes, so benefit from him. He's charging us, but it's fine. Right. Thank you very
and
much.
they pay me upfront.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? There must be some questions.
I can pass the mic.
Thank you, Darius. This was very insightful. I'm Federico from Italy, I work in finance. I wanted to ask you what is the most controversial idea you have about sales or coaching, something that you know you should not be thinking, but actually you think it's a great idea to do actively.
When you say controversial, what do you mean?
Well, the definition of controversial, so something that everybody think is like a great idea.
I think if you look at most salespeople, after two questions on average, they start talking about the product, right? It's like a hot potato. So they go, "Hello, how are you? Where are you from? How long have you been here? Let me tell you about this." Right? The controversial part is that the last thing you do is talk about the product. All you do show interest in the life of what they want the person, and then the closing becomes easier because the preparation you've done, the process, had made the close easy. The worst is when people haven't done the build up and they have a hard job closing the deal because there's no relationship. If that makes sense. So when I hear somebody on the phone and they're talking about the product, it's the wrong conversation. All you do on the phone is close their point. Relationships are built face to face.
One more thing I will add to that, it's you should never cater for what people want, cater for people's need. There's a big difference here. And if you manage to portray or whatever you're trying to pass on to close the deal as a need and a must, not as I want, something they need to have, then you are 99.99% across. When you are trying to sell something they want a lot of things. So it's not a priority. But when you set the deal as a priority for them, definitely you are on the winning side of the subject. So controversial, I would strongly agree with what he said. And more important than that, like listen carefully to their answers and tailor make something according to what really functions for them, not what the product is listed. It's not a presentation, it's not a PowerPoint. It's about something that really needs to be given to that person thinking that this is my unique thing that will help me go anywhere I want. Yeah,
If I may,
something around that.
thank you. I'm going to even add to that if you don't mind. So when you have a hole in your shoes, you need a pair of shoes, right? But you don't go out. So you need a pair of shoes who stop the leaking coming through and you get all sorts of infections to your feet, right? But you don't go to the cheapest shoe shop. Most of you or ladies, you need a handbag, but you don't go to the cheapest handbag, but you go to Louis Vuitton, Chanel. Why? You need a handbag, but you want the Chanel. You need a handbag, but you buy good shoes. Does that make sense? So what happens is you find their needs, and then you inspire them to want to do business with you. Because when you inspire people to do want to do business with you, they're happy. They justify paying more. That makes sense. I need an apartment, but I trust George, so I'm happy. I want to do business with him, so I'm prepared to pay that extra 25% because of all the extras I'm going to get.
Always needs.
She's not on sale.
Always in need of a new bag.
She she wants she wants a Fendi. She wants
She
this. She
comes
wants
with
actually.
and
You know, here's another thing with my wife. She doesn't need anything or want anything because as a husband, I'm proactively providing, so she never has to ask.
with a good man.
If she starts asking, I stop providing. Does that make sense? Because I think she's expecting. Maybe she's just playing me right. I don't know. She's the boss.
Thank you. Dariush, so you mentioned about your motivation and pain sort of running away from at the start of your career. I was just wondering what are your goals now that you're probably at sort of the pinnacle or towards the end of your career?
End of my life. Oh, the end is. We were discussing this actually earlier. The bigger the company you have, your bigger the challenges you face. So every day I wake up and I think I hope people come to me with their pain because if they bypass me, go to somebody else, they're the ones who are earning the money. So I wake up every morning hoping for huge problems. If I don't have problems, I've had a bad day. So I'm constantly fixing the only okay, I'll explain. When I came here 15 years ago, I was 44. So I charged 2,750 dirhams a month. Okay. Today I charge $10,000 an hour and I'm fully booked. And I pick and choose my clients. I have 15 years less energy than I had when I arrived. Okay. So why am I charging so much more than when I arrived? Because I was a far better consultant coach then than I am now because I was more hungry. I want to do this. Why do you think that is? My mindset. Because when I came here, I was like, nobody knows me. I'm new to the marketplace. Who's but if my mindset was I'm worth $10,000, I'll probably be billionaire today. Does that make sense? So my goal in life is to have incredible memories. So when that day comes, I changed as many people's lives as I could. I left a great legacy for my great grandkids. So my name means something, right? And then I had incredible experiences. I went wherever I wanted to go with whoever I wanted for how long I wanted to, and money was never an issue. I was never a slave to money. And believe me, when you have money, there's always more to spend. I spent 4 years, I had a house in Thailand. I spent 4 years trying to kind of save for a yacht. I got this yacht. I hate the sea. I don't like the boat. Everything was just ego. And I got this boat. I delivered, went on it. And my next door neighbor's boat was twice the size. So I wasn't happy, right? I was like, well, I'm not as rich as he is. So I wanted a bigger boat. That makes sense. So I think it's the journey that makes you happy. Just being habitual. Enjoy life. Enjoy life.
Totally agree. But to be honest, one more thing just for the young gurus who are joining Dubai. I've been here since 2005 and I've seen everything, literally everything the city went through. And my first visit actually was in 1997 when my sister moved here. So reality is today, what you decide to live about what is your end goal, Dariush end goal is something. Mine is a happy retirement, meaning I don't want to be committed to anything and I want enough money for me to be able to do whatever I want at any time of the year, being in any country I want to. Yours is different. So it's an individual thing that people aim for and what they want from that result after years and years of hard. And my advice, correct, the faster you retire, the more you live. Because when you are retired, means you are not committed to a specific working hour from X to Y. And in Daniel's field, I think he retired a few years ago because he's choosing when to work and what he wants to do any time of the day and decide to go on 7 month nothing. But today, if you feel that you cannot go to this place because you need to meet a client or you cannot spend a Saturday with your friends because you have two meetings with someone who can make you money and close a deal on the weekend. The only business where people are happy doing business on the weekend is our field. It's real estate business because the broker or the person representing the company are here to cater for the time where the buyer is free. And usually that buyer is occupied 5 days a week to do other businesses is only free time is during the weekend, and this is where the deal is striking. So what I would say, it's his dream is to fulfill it in that way. You should also find yours, even at a young age, and think about a specific time where you say at 50 or 55 or hopefully 30. Because I know guys, sorry, there is a guy who I met in 20, I think, or 2019. It was directly after COVID. It was in June. It was in September, the year COVID ended in Dubai. That guy was 26 years old. When he was 24, I think he bought 15,000 Bitcoin. So he owned $156 million at the age of 26. He bought with us alone 67 units, and he bought around Dubai 130 other apartments. So he had 200 apartments in less than a year because we were coming up of the crisis. The pricing were like really super aggressive and payment plans, the extended payment plan, and whatever. Everything we were offering everything on the table. And that person in particular, he uh, liquidated all his bitcoins into cash, and then he started buying real estate. At the time was 56,000 dirham. And then Bitcoin crashed, went to 21 and then to 16,700. So he bought all the real estate at peak, bought again Bitcoin and sold at $96,000 a piece. So this guy now he's around 5 years ago, 31, and I think he has more than $2 billion. And I don't think he's working, right? He's retired. So it's about when you have to decide when, and it's all about your doing, able to do it. Nobody else is gonna help you. Darius is not gonna give you money to do it. Any other company is not gonna come. Okay, let me fund your retirement. So this is why I say today, if you're making money, invest your financials correctly to be able to set that time, and when you get that time correct, this is where you are really enjoying every single bit of your life. Make sense? It's up
Yeah,
to you.
appreciate it. If I could quickly, one more. Dariush, you mentioned the mindset, obviously, that you have now compared to when you started. What advice would you give to sort of adopting that mindset at the start of being new to an industry?
Very was. My driving force was easy. I just had to pay rent. I had to cover school fees. I had to put food on the table. That's easy. The hardest part is when you're comfortable. When you're comfortable, it's hard to go to the gym. It's hard to get up early because you don't have to. But that was easy. This is hard now. So also, when you're setting your goals are going to change. I never set goals more than 6 months. Now, I particularly don't like the word retire because, on average, people die 3.5 years after retirement. So what happens is, what I would do is I would just change my goals to spiritual goals. We talk about health goals. Maybe you achieve your financial goals. So keep setting different goals in life because if you constantly aspire and you live long, the last thing I want to do is live other people's life, right? I lived his expectations or her expectations. I want to go and say I had a limitless potential and I achieved everything I could. I wouldn't change anything. That's what I want. And that's my legacy, right? I'd wake up every morning and I really want to do good and serve people. And then along the way, maybe I've upset people, but it's never intentional. The person I look in the mirror at is a good human being. Yeah. Start by liking yourself. And ultimately, everything is about self worth. So today, what you're earning, irrespective of age, by the way, age is amazing. If I had to sit in front of someone, I won't be thinking, oh, I'm too young. I'll be thinking, I've got 10 times more energy than that Darius guy. Right? So he might have been but wiser, but I'm going to give you 24 hours of service. I'm going to be awake serving you. So I'm more hungry than he is. So whatever your position, you can turn it around and have it as an asset. Does that make sense? So it's all in the mindset and self worth. So if you look at your bank statement today, that's how much you think you're worth in the marketplace. Because the universe pays you what you think, right? Then not me or George be your judge. Let your bank statement be your judge. Right? If you're really happy with it, you have great self worth. If you're not happy with it, work on your self worth. You have to start liking yourself first, and then backing it up, not just talk. Right? You got to back it up. Hope that answers your question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you. Have a great afternoon, and I really hope you enjoyed the session. It will be recorded if you want to listen again to what was discussed on this panel. It was great having you all.